Well, it seems as if hell has frozen over. The sky is falling and pigs are flying. The police in the state of California are finally opposing gun control. And, you know, I'm happy about it. I think in the same way that the anti-gunners have always said that the quickest way to get gun control passed is if black people started carrying guns, the pro-gun side, us, have also had a similar phrase of the quickest way to have gun control be unsuccessful is for it to affect law enforcement. Because today, that's something that we're going to be talking about. There's been a lot of really important things happening according to a variety of gun tubers, but honestly, I haven't really been that enticed to talk about a lot of things, but we have a few things that I want to talk about today that are worthy of me speaking to you guys about. So, before we get going into the police stuff, quick thank you to everyone that's still supporting the channel. Haven't been uploading a lot, and because of that, I've been getting more and more comments of people saying, oh, I got unsubscribed. I used to think that was something that gun tubers or just YouTubers in general lied about, but by the amount of comments that I've been getting of people saying they had to resubscribe, please double check. If you've never been subscribed to this channel, I assure you that it is worth it and that I will only talk about things that are truly interesting, important, and you need to act on or should probably be aware of. A lot of things are happening, but not a whole lot is actually happening that you couldn't just stay up to date with by following a couple Twitter accounts like Moros Costas or 2A Updates on Twitter, both of which I will leave linked down below. Highly recommend you check them out because a Twitter post is sometimes all you really need, and you don't need an 8-minute video to get the mid-roll ads. So, big thing in the state of California that I wanted to talk about was AB 92, the body armor ban. We previously have talked about this in the state of California, how it gets brought up, and previously, AB 92 this year, it is not passed yet. It's gotten some movement and some progress, but it had a big change to it. That big change that recently happened went from AB 92 banning the purchase of body armor by basically everyone that wasn't law enforcement or security. Then it started adding things like journalists, lawyers, and a variety of other random people that they thought might need it more than the average person. Now it's changed from that. It's made another huge change. Now, AB 92 would only, if passed, ban the purchase of body armor by prohibited persons. And you might be saying to yourself, Reno, isn't that what the law already is? Well, not really. Federally, I believe it is a law that felons, people who have been convicted of a felony and have been released, deemed safe enough to be in society, could not own a purely defensive item to protect themselves from whatever it is they wish to be protected from. This would have also covered things like backpack inserts, like from Premier Body Armor, one of the supporters of this channel. Now, it's only going to be banning prohibited persons, which includes people that have been 5150'd, anything that would prevent you from purchasing a gun that isn't a felony, like if you're an unlawful user of a controlled substance, including marijuana in the state of California, because federally it's still a controlled substance. This also would include people that have been convicted of domestic violence and things like that. Basically, if you can't legally own a gun, AB 92 would make it so you can't legally own body armor. So not only can you not protect yourself with force, you cannot protect yourself passively. They want you to be more shootable. And then they also complain about people being shot. Body armor is the new boogeyman, it seems, because all it took was 1 or 2 instances of a bad person using body armor. But we completely ignore the fact that body armor, whether it's just soft backpack inserts, are not something that gets people killed. Body armor is not a dangerous thing to own. Body armor, let's be real here, the chances of you ever needing it, very slim. But I just very recently, like in the last 2 weeks, had someone send me a photo. I can't really share it, can't share any details, but they were involved in a home invasion type situation. They put on their body armor, and the body armor saved their life. If that doesn't say what you need to know, I don't know. It seems like they want you to be able to be killed. Now, let's talk about SB2, which is the former SB 918, the ban on concealed carry generally in the state of California. SB 918 was a bill introduced last year that had an urgency clause, meaning that it would have needed a 2/3 vote to pass. What SB 918 would do is massively increase the fees to get a CCW in the state of California, massively increase the requirements to get a CCW in the state of California, including digging through all of your social media. Is Pornhub considered a social media? Because the furries are going to have to look out. They ain't going to be getting a CCW if that passes. In addition to that, it would have made it impossible to carry basically anywhere in the state of California. The list of banned locations was so wide sweeping that when I made a video discussing it, I wasn't actually, if it passed, I wouldn't actually be able to go anywhere on the streets, on the sidewalks, wouldn't be able to go to any business. And some streets I probably wouldn't even be able to drive through without unloading my gun, putting it in a locked container, and then driving through that area, putting the gun back on after loading it. SB 2 is the reimagination of SB 918. This time, currently, it does not have the urgency clause, which means it only needs a 50% vote. Last time, the 2/3 vote missed by, I think, 2 votes. There was a couple last-second swing decisions to not pass it. That was in big part because some police unions actually opposed it publicly. You see how that's so important. Having the police unions, having police officer associations oppose gun control is huge. It's vital. It is the pinnacle of stopping gun control from being passed, because if law enforcement isn't supporting it, the general public will look at that as a negative. SB 2 is bad. SB 2 needs to fail, because if SB 2 passes, I would not be able to carry basically anywhere. It seems as if some changes have happened to the sidewalk rules, as if you could just walk past a sidewalk of some of these businesses, but that's all up to change. It could change at any given moment, which is very, very bad. If you live in the state of California, or if you know someone that lives in the state of California, tell them to write their legislature and say, do not pass SB 2. For all of the not single issue voters, now is the time to make your voice heard. I know there's a lot of you probably don't do much other than just own a gun and then vote for Democrats who will continue to try to ban our guns and ban our rights and prevent you from being able to legally protect yourself. But now is the time to actually act and do something. Write your legislators, tell them that you will vote for literally anybody else, any other non-incumbent, if they pass SB 2. Now let's talk about the police finally opposing gun control. My lawsuit, BOLAND versus BONTA, is challenging the state's handgun roster. This would make it so that if we're super successful, which we very likely will be in the long run, if we are successful, the handgun roster would go away. There would no longer be a handgun roster. Currently, we're fighting for a preliminary injunction to get rid of micro-stamping, magazine disconnects, loaded chamber indicators. If we can get rid of those, what would happen is that any gun from any company could submit it to be drop tested and added to the roster while this whole court case plays out. That would be awesome. Recently, there was a bill proposed in the state of California that would remove the police exemption from off-roster handguns, meaning that the police currently can buy any off-roster handgun, and then many police officers can actually sell those guns later on down the road. Well, the anti-gun politicians have finally bitten off a little bit more than they can chew. They proposed a bill, wrote a bill that has not passed yet, that would prevent law enforcement from being able to use off-roster, unsafe handguns. I'm sorry for the Italian sign language, but I'm using that to indicate that I don't believe in the validity of the words, but we still have to challenge the words and they challenge the definitions and the laws, so I have to use the words that they use. I knew that this was going to be a problem. I knew that the police were not going to like that they were finally going to be treated like us lowly plebs. And it's because of that that the Police Officers Research Association of California, PORAC, has finally stepped up and submitted support of the CRPA lawsuit that I am a part of, BOLAND versus BONTA. And if you're in the Southern California area and you're looking for good training, Lance Boland is a hell of a guy. Highly recommend supporting him because he is the main named plaintiff in this court case. We recently in January had to go down to Southern California and testify. Interestingly enough, I believe the state of California tried to threaten me when they were doing cross-examination. They asked me some specific questions about me manufacturing single-shot pistols. When they asked me that, I sort of laughed. I held it under my breath a little bit, but I definitely laughed just the tiniest bit. Because I knew they were trying to threaten me. They know what I've done, they know what I've made. It's been very clear. When they asked me that question, I explained to them that I have built probably 5 or 6, I'm not sure off the top of my head, but maybe 5 single-shot pistols, applied for a serial number with the state, got the serial number engraved onto the unfinished firearm receiver, made that firearm into a fully functional single-shot pistol, sent the photos to get approved by the DOJ. Now, some of those 5 I submitted almost 2 years ago at the time that we were in court. Some of them I submitted as recently as 6-8 months prior to that court case of me testifying. Interestingly, we filed the lawsuit in I think August-ish. We filed for a motion for preliminary injunction in December, and then in mid-December, a court date was set for January. In between the date of the court date being set and January, when we had our testimony, all 5 of my single-shot pistols finally got approved. Now, I did everything I was supposed to do. It was perfectly legal for me to own those guns in that nearly 2-year to 6-month period of time, depending on which one I built. But the state of California Department of Justice never actually approved my submission. It just sat there pending images and review. And suddenly, for no reason at all of them got approved on the same exact date. Now, I believe that the state of California was trying to threaten me. They were not happy that when I was asked, the state of California was not happy that when asked, my answer was to explain the terrible 2-year process that I had sat through. They said, no, Mr. May, we're just looking for a yes or no question, or yes or no answer. And I said, yes, I have built some of those guns as described. Now, PORAC, the Police Officers Research Association of California, sorry, I wanted to read that out, has finally submitted their support of our lawsuit. I'm happy to have their support. Personally, I think it's very interesting that they are only now supporting this since their law enforcement officers would potentially be treated the same way us lowly plebs would be. This is good. It's good to have their support. I'm glad that they're finally on board. Let me know what you think down below about that. Do you think it's convenient timing that the DOJ just happened to process all of my papers right before the court date? Because I think it was like 2 weeks prior, like maybe a week and a half. It was pretty close to the deadline of me actually going into court. I knew that they wanted to be able to ask those questions, but they probably knew that if my papers weren't approved, I would have mentioned that, and they wouldn't have liked that. And I know that they did not like that I explained how long it took for them to approve it. Or I assume, I can't slander or libel, I assume, it is my assumption that they knew that I would answer in a specific way that they would not like. And I believe that they still did not like the way that I answered it because I put it in the court record that the DOJ is inept and incompetent at their job. I'm not arrested. They know what I've built. They know what I've done. I'm still here. Finally, we have police support for our lawsuit, which is great. I think this is going to be huge, having the support of police unions or representation groups of police departments, because this shows that police do not support this law. I'd be very curious to hear what you guys have to think down below. Let me know in the comments. If you want to support the channel in a free way, drop a like. If you want to support the channel monetarily, by far the biggest supporter of this channel is Gorilla Mind. If you are into fitness, into that kind of stuff, they sell great pre-workout and great supplements. I would highly recommend you check them out. You can use code Reno or just the link down below. It'll automatically give you 10% off. Let me know what you guys think down below. You guys know the drill. Have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.